Anyway, so here we go. Final Fantasy XIV, big news. We know modding is huge in games, especially in MMOs. This has been going on for a very long time. And what happens? Someone decides, let's create a mod that finally pushes it over the line. Now, there's always been cosmetic mods. These are aesthetics so that you can see different characters, self-made content. Some of them are quality of life differences. As a matter of fact, Yoshida has at times said that, wait, these are good ideas that we need to implement in the game, which is the right way of thinking. I'm under the belief system from gaming that mods are basically the best thing out there for developers to look at, because it teaches you what you need to do for quality of life improvements in your own game. And we're not talking about things that can jeopardize the integrity of a game, gameplay, PvP, anything like that. But we're talking about quality of life features, aesthetics. These are things that should probably be implemented in a game if they're very popular. So, and they are. That's a little preface that we need to put in there when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV. So the official release on the forums. Now, you have to understand that this is a pretty big deal, because a lot of times Square Enix will reply to the Japanese forums, but to reply to the English forums or to put a statement on them is a little more rare, right? So we have Yoshida saying, hello, everyone, producer and director Naoki Yoshida here. We have confirmed that there exist third-party tools that are being used to check FFXIV, Final Fantasy XIV character information that is not displayed during normal gameplay. So again, this is likened to memory reading in this aspect. Not exactly, but it is gathering information out of the game that you're not supposed to have. Why can it do this? It can do it because they changed the way that the game handles client accounts. See, they have this thing in Final Fantasy called a blacklist. Everyone knows this that plays the game. You can blacklist a character and they can no longer message you, reply to you, anything like that. But you could still see them. So they would still be in the game. They could still be a nuisance. People could troll. So, hey, they get this big idea over there at Square Enix. We're going to do this rollout, okay, with Dawn Trail, where when you blacklist someone, you can have it to where they disappear from the game. Well, in order to do that, it needs to do away with their alt accounts too. Now, every Final Fantasy service account, you can have 8 different alt accounts for that one, 8 different tunes, as a World of Warcraft player would say. So what this does is it checks for your service account name. So that way, when you blacklist them, you don't see their alt accounts either. And this helps with like the Weibo police and people like that. Okay. Now, I'm not throwing any shade here. I could care less about these trolls, whatever they want to do. I'm not targeting out a particular group, but for the people who stand in the cities and may drive someone crazy, they could say, okay, we're going to blacklist this, and it takes care of all your alts too. So you can't just get around it. The problem with that, the big picture, is now you've made the information available and people can use third-party tools that's created to get people's service account information. That's a big issue. Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. So now we're going to hear about how this is threatening. Let's pop over here and just see what this is about.
Hello, Mioni here, and welcome back to a rather important and unfortunate news topic. We're on the Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail official forums today, and we've got a brand new post by Naoki Yoshida himself, the producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV. This is in regards to what you may or may not have heard of as some kind of third-party tool, add-on / program, or whatever it is, that I do not want to repeat the name of for obvious reasons, that is apparently being used in a nefarious way. Surprise, surprise, third-party tools, nefarious ways. They kind of go hand in hand. So Yoshi P says, regarding the use of third-party programs and player safety, and let's read this out. Hello everyone, producer and director Naoki Yoshida here. We have confirmed that there exists third-party tools that are being used to check Final Fantasy XIV character information that is not displayed during normal gameplay. The tool is being used to display a segment of a Final Fantasy XIV character's internal account ID. which is then used in an attempt to further correlate information on other characters on the same Final Fantasy XIV service account. Interesting. The development operations teams are aware of the situation and the concerns being raised.
And it's very important to say, why does that matter? Because in the role-playing community, which is a big part of Final Fantasy XIV community, the role-playing community, if you can have 8 different characters, maybe I have this cute little cat girl and that's my role play. But I'm tired of that. And now I want to play a lizard, or I want to play a fucking chud. You know, I want to go out there and I'm going to be a Highlander. Do I really want people to know the different ones? Well, as many I mean, you could look at that however you want to, whether that's ethical or not, but it ruins the experience for a lot of people.
But a community and are discussing the following options, the first of which that they're considering is requesting that the tool in question be removed and deleted. A very soft reply. And then the other option is pursuing legal action, which is obviously a much more line in the sand decision. Aside from character information that can be checked in-game and on the lodestone, we have received concerns that personal information registered on a user's Square Enix account, such as address and payment information, could also be exposed with this tool. Please rest assured that it is not possible to access this information using third-party tools. So,
well, that's because all that information is on the MOG store, which is actually, if things serve me correctly here, that information is on the MOG store. So all of your payment information, everything is being stored differently, right? So there's no way they're going to get that. They're just going to get the service account name, and they may be able to link to other accounts to it, right? So if you sign in with one character or tune and then a second one, and it registers as the same thing. This is where the modding community, this isn't just modding. This is literally going in and changing and extracting information like memory reading. It goes beyond cosmetics. Yoshida and everyone before has tolerated third-party programs for a long time because it's such an essential part of the game, but they're pushing it here. There's no doubt, right? Yeah, they are pushing it.
Big concerns. Essentially, logging onto a character, this tool allows an individual using this tool to see their account ID. So if they were to log on to a subsequent character, an alternate character, you would know that it's the same person, essentially. That is the long and short of what I'm taking from this anyway. So it's like character accounts associated with an account, right? Characters, so you know who is who on different characters belonging to the same account. So you know who Bob's playing on his alt, it's Bob, that kind of thing. Whether or not, you know, it goes beyond that, I have absolutely no idea personally, but apparently it is not possible to access the information such as addresses and payment information. So it just looks like it's beyond that is everything to do with retainers and things like that, potentially. Yeah, interesting. Yoshi says we strive to offer and maintain a safe environment for our players, which is why we ask everyone to refrain from using third-party tools. We also ask that players do not share information about third-party tools, such as details about their installation methods, or take any actions to assist in their dissemination.
Okay, there's an important point here. Again, with Final Fantasy XIV, there is a soft denial of wanting it to facilitate third-party programs. They know it's happening. Tens of thousands of players use them. Without them, the game would probably not be what it is today as far as the player count is concerned. So they tolerate it as long as the information only exists with each other and it only deals with cosmetics. This has been a long-standing unsaid treaty between modders and the game developers themselves.
And they reiterate here, the use of third-party tools is prohibited by the Final Fantasy XIV user agreement, and their usage could threaten the safety of players. We will
of course it is. That way, if they go too far, they can do something.
Naoki Yoshida, producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV, today, the 24th of January 2025. The very fact that we are in a situation where this has to be said is shocking to me personally, in my own personal opinion. I think that any kind of tool at all is it's just ridiculous that these things exist. Downloading things from somebody you don't know on the internet is always a terrible idea. You have absolutely no idea what's contained within. This is just further reiterating their stance, like, don't do it, right? It's not worth anything. You don't want to risk your account. You don't want to risk your own personal safety. And Square Enix are having none of it. And quite frankly,
Now, they've been having a lot. I would have to disagree. They've been having a lot of it for a long time. I don't think, and maybe some of my viewers understand this with Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV would not exist if it wasn't for the role-playing community, whether you like it or not. And we can even see the acknowledgement of this time and again. I know people, friends, who have used third-party programs for years without any consequence, as long as it's shared between private individuals and it doesn't affect the gameplay. They don't want things that affect the gameplay. But you will be more likely to be banned in Final Fantasy XIV for using stat checking, right? Parsing tools. If you use parsing tools, that's fine. But if you shame people because of the stats, you'll get banned. It will happen. It can happen. However, in the case of mods, they do. Guys, there's tens of thousands. I won't say the names of these things on stream, but there's 40 or 50,000 people concurrently using them at a time on a server. And they have their houses designed as like nightclubs, and there's actual DJs performing on Twitch. This is a massive part of this game, is the active role-playing community. And that actually gets them between patches. And as a matter of fact, Final Fantasy XIV has been suffering a lot anyway. As a player, I've found it hard to get through Dawn Trail. Like, it has been difficult. This obsession with Dawn Trail, you know everything from the beginning. You know the good guy, you know the bad guys. It's very difficult to do so. All right, let's continue.
Completely agree with them. I do think that a legal action thing, although it seems a bit of a harsh answer,
that's going to be hard to do.
I don't know.
But I understand it.
The nefarious details that were involved in creating said tool. But obviously, if you put a tool like this into the hands of random strangers, they're going to use it for any and every available option, right? You can't judge a person's character randomly on the internet. So people have been worried, quite rightfully so, about stalking. Some people play Final Fantasy XIV to avoid other people and attachments to, real life situations, regardless of what that might be. For example, somebody might have an alternate character for some other activities that they don't want to be associated with their main character.
And that is true. And this is where this tool actually hurts the RP community, the roleplay community, because a lot of people want the fantasy. And I think this is where Facebook and Meta has really failed with augmented reality, is that people don't want reality in video games. They want a fiction that is fun. If they wanted reality, they could go outside and deal with their current life. Video games give us agency over things that we can't do in real life. We can have floofy tales. We can do things that we normally couldn't do in video games, right? So it allows for experimentation and for fun in a safe setting and community. So this mod is actually hurting the roleplay community and doesn't have anything to do with mods themselves, like real, what you would call mods that just do aesthetics, right? And I can see why this is a threat to them. This is not just a threat because of third-party programs. This is a threat because it hurts the RP community, which, especially between patches, is about half of everything that's going on there. That's why the cities are full. It's the AFK dancers. It's people who angle for houses and actually pay people tons of gil to host their DJing for them.
Perhaps they do RP, perhaps they do raid groups with
exactly. I agree with them.
They don't want this person to know that it's the same person in two raid groups, whoever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Regardless of the fact, this is a very strange situation. It's very creepy, the fact that this tool exists, in my opinion. And I think that
well, it's creepy,
Square Enix,
guys. It's creepy for multiple reasons, right? So if you're pretending to be 8 different people with the same person and that person doesn't know, can we just say that's a little creepy, or is that not being fair? So while this tool is creepy, it's also creepy the other way. Role playing can be creepy. Imagine having 3 different characters. One's a chud Highlander, one's a cat girl, and playing 2 different types of people with the same person, and they don't even know that you're the same person. Like, that can be a little bit creepy itself. But yes, this tool is creepy too. It's all creepy.
Obviously was in the full rights to do what they want with this situation. I think this is a post that was surely needed. I wasn't going to comment on this at all. I had seen it previously until we got an official response. And Yoshi P seems to have the same intention that I expected him to have. And it's good that Square Enix have replied to this in an official capacity.
Square Enix has been unfortunately dropping the ball a lot lately, and that's sad to see. As a company, I have nothing but respect for Yoshida. This is nothing personal. This is just my perspective as a player and someone who's been around for a while in this, is that they had an amazing writing staff. Incredible. You played Final Fantasy because of the story, not just because of the combat. And everyone was addicted to the story. AARR, right? A Realm Reborn is something that you did to get through it. That was like paying your dues. And then later you got this incredible story, right? That writing team was shelved. A lot of those people are not writing currently, and you can tell that the writing has fallen off. People are not happy. A lot of people who have streamed Final Fantasy for years aren't happy. They don't feel like that the jobs are going that well. This is a whole nother topic, really, but it shows that the trajectory right now isn't good. And the last thing they need is for some rat to come up with a mod tool like this that's exposing people who are role playing as different characters. So this is antithetical to their game in multiple ways. So you can see why this is such a big deal for Yoshida. The only way to really fix it, it's like having a well or like a fountain in a city and stopping people from tossing coins in. Even if you sue this person and somehow win, someone else can do this. The information is now there for them to tap into, right? So the only way to fix this is to remove it. You have to say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to stop this blacklist function in its current form, and then that would patch it, right?
To see, I do think that stuff like this existing is a real reflection of where the community is at the moment, and it only takes a few bad eggs to make the whole thing look terrible, right? So, but yeah, there we go. That's the post. Very disappointing. In regards to the fact that this exists, but I'm quite happy to see that they are considering legal action because, like I say, I think an example needs to be made at some point. A line in the sand needs to be drawn, and the constant talk about mods or whatever being a gray area probably needs to be hammered in, especially when we look at, world first races and things like that, and third-party tools being used across that. So it's only a matter of time before things get worse. So maybe this will be the final straw.
Well, there's always been a line in the sand. You can do things aesthetically, but you can't do them where it alters the gameplay, right? Just like if you cheated in PvP, you could get banned for that. If you use a parsing tool and then you shame someone, you can get banned for that. If you are using automated programs in order to mine for gold or for mats, you can get banned for that. There's always been kind of this vague tolerance. And I think this is a good video. I can appreciate what Mioni is saying here. So go ahead and check that out. I'm going to end up putting the link in there. And I understand what's being said. The only thing that I would say is I would reiterate that it is so important to understand how important the mod community is to this game's survival. And this is one reason they're cracking down. This isn't just about ending third-party programs. This is about protecting the people who have used them what you would call responsibly, right? And it's always been my take on it is that as a developer, what you want to look for is why are they having to use the third-party programs to begin with? If my game is sufficient, then they shouldn't need them. There was a lot of quality of life things in third-party programs, aesthetics, ideas. Nothing will teach you what software should be more than the open source community. So we look towards the open source community and we say, okay, wait a minute, these are great ideas. These are ideas that we might not have been able to do unilaterally, and we can implement them. All right. So that's my take on it. But yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. Legal action is going to be tough. This is going to spread, in my opinion. The only thing that you can do is do away with the feature where you can just disappear someone's character, right? Go back to the old format and you fix it. All right.